Thank you for being with me today. I'm going to present a presentation on a topic of crisis counseling as a part of my jEDU'L consulting, education consulting and counseling services. This is a free of cost information session about crisis counseling, and the counseling will be presented like in English and sometimes in Nepali. Please never mind. But the content or presentation is prepared only in English. So let me promise to share my presentation. Thank you. Before starting, I would like to acknowledge traditional owner of these lands, elders past, present, and emerging one. And I also would like to acknowledge and the thank you to all the viewers or the participants who are with me in Zoom and Facebook today for the presentation on topic crisis counseling is a kind of information session. And my name is again Janaki Podel. I'm a MACA practicing counselor and also qualified agent counselor. And I run the jEDU'L consulting business, which provides, as I already told before, education and counseling services, education consulting and counseling services. I do have website www.jedul.com.au, and you can reach out to me in the email info@jedul.com.au. So today, Friday, it's a new year, the new year, 7th of January. And I basically, firstly, I'm very excited to bring these topics and would like to wish you all very happy New Year 2022. I would like to wish you very happy New Year 2022. May this year bring you lots of happiness, joy, successful prosperity, and good health. Because we all are, in crisis because of this COVID since 2019 and almost starting from 2020 and until now. So I wish you all to have a very good health this year, and you will feel free because of all those COVID the impact and even the other health issues. You will be free, and may God bring the free moment for you from all those health crises. Thank you so much. Okay, next slides. Are you seeing the next slides? Okay. Crisis is a situation in which client is completely unable to control themselves, as I already explained in Nepali as well. Because of various reasons, client may not be able to control themselves, means to operate their life or to function their life in an appropriate way. So if it is the reason or this is the situation, it is called crisis. And crisis also called as an acute disruption of psychological homeostasis. As I already told before, people are are functional based on their mindful thoughts and feelings. And once it is disrupted, they will be unable to cope with the difficult situations, and they also will be unable to run their life properly. So called it is a crisis. And the crisis is also called an upset in steady state. When someone is upset continually upset, they never feel joy, they never feel happiness, they never see hope, and upset, like not enjoying in talking, not enjoying in doing the things, not enjoying in in the group or celebration and whatever, meeting the friends or family members or doing the things, whatever they have to do. And staying steadily means continually in those kind of upsetting situation, it is also called a crisis. It is also a crisis situation. So what requires to control, to overcome from the crisis now? Yes, we already know what is a crisis. Now what requires? What do we need to come over from the crisis, critical situation or crisis situation? So crisis actually requires an immediate intervention. because of being unable to even function the life is really a critical crisis, and they need an immediate intervention. Crisis also requires long-term and short-term recovery prevention. Once the client are rescued from the the immediate crisis situation, they also need a continuous support to recover. So once they recover, recovering is also the part of preventing. The prevention is better than cure in the health system. Normally, waiting for the disease and getting treatment, then preventing to get the disease is the most powerful things. So it is also important. So in the crisis counseling, let's say like there is something happened, someone is in that long-term offset study situation, or someone feel like the suicidal thoughts, committing suicides, or something wrong on that situation. Only helping them or rescuing them from the immediate crisis is not enough. There should be continuous or long-term goal, to prevent those kind of crises to come to that client back again. Similarly, crisis also require counseling service. In the counseling service now, crisis counseling, today's topic is crisis counseling. So I have added that one line in this slide. The counseling plays a vital role to intervene crisis and prevent it. So I'm giving the importance in counseling because I'm a counselor, and counseling is also a technique, a powerful service which is very useful, in the crisis situation. So it's play a vital role to intervene, to stop the crisis and prevent it, and prevent the client, to go back to the crisis situation again. Now, next slide. Okay. Just move this one. So from this slide, you can understand very clearly. Let's assume this circle part is a crisis, and there are a couple of stages in the crisis. How people go to the crisis is a different thing. That comes as a region of crisis, the region of the event which held to the client, which client felt worse in their life, and then they go to the crisis situation. Now here, once they go, what's gonna happen? There are different stages of crisis. So these stages, I prepared this stage as a UVWX model. In this UVWX model, you can see U, unconsciousness, V, vulnerability, W, worthless, X, life-threatening or dangerous. So these are the stages. In unconsciousness stage, the client may show their upward situations, deeply affected, it means trauma, okay, and blackout or non-sensitive. They don't know anything, it means they may go to trauma. They are senseless. That's unconsciousness situations. Vulnerability, still there is a sense. However, they feel hopeless, defenseless, guilt, anxiety, worries, long-term worry, despair, intense fear, grief, panic attack, confusion, restlessness, suicidal thoughts, feelings of hurt and worthless of their life. That's the vulnerability. They are alive, okay? They basically want to do something, but they now already think they are worthless. Guilt, fear, they confuse, they hang around within themselves and don't know what to do, what not to do. Okay, that's the vulnerability. You see, hopeless and defenseless, they can't defend themselves. Is a defenseless and hopeless. That's the vulnerability. Then UBWX in X, worthless. When some client have sense and sensitivity, and they feel in danger also, they are fear, and they try to basically, work out it internally and externally. It is not about unconscious and subconscious. Let's say example, you unconscious, vulnerability, we can say subconscious as well. In workless stage, little bit sense, less sense, not not subconscious, but less sense. They have a sense, little sense, but they are unable to understand about their environment, about their situation. They want to integrate, to overcome from that situation. They want to try different options, try different aspects, but they are unable to work out. So I put as stage as a workless stage. So once they are workless stage, unconsciousness is also the crisis situation. Vulnerability, of course, is a crisis situation. Workless, and the composing all those three things bring the client into the life-threatening situation. It's a very dangerous. So I put X as a dangerous, life-threatening situations. They may think suicidal thoughts repeatedly. They may attempt to suicide, or there is a death as well, or their life is in a very dangerous situations. Completely unconscious, completely vulnerable, completely workless, and crossing these three stages, the client comes into the life-threatening stage. These are just the general the concept. Now we already know what is the crisis situation. What is crisis situation, and what are the stages? Now let's focus in how the counseling, okay, help to overcome the client from the crisis situation. Or what is a crisis? As I already told in the beginning, that crisis requires intervention. No matter who does the intervention, crisis is a very difficult, dangerous situation, and intervention is required. It has to be stopped. Anyone can stop if anyone can see, someone can feel or see those kind of environment. A normal person, as a civilized people, the human behavior, human can help another human in a casual basis. I'm not talking about like professional one. Any individual can notice and help another individual, or the people who are in crisis, they can be helped professionally. So once they are in crisis, they should be the individual who have no knowledge about how to handling the critical situation, how to handling the person in the crisis situation. They need to seek the professional help. They need to contact the professional help, and counseling is one of the professional service, and there are other services, hospital, different organizations, different non-profit organizations as well, who works for this counseling. Pretty much, the Lifeline is a national service in Australia, and it is available 24/7. And there are other organizations as well which work for this, the clients who are in counseling session. Now, these are the services oriented things I explained. Now I'm bringing some concept about how counseling work in crisis intervention. I mean, like counseling, crisis counseling. What involved in the crisis counseling? Crisis counseling, crisis intervention is required, and in order to do the crisis intervention and crisis prevention, the counselor or the professional have to use some sort of like techniques, some sort of like models. Okay, there are a number of models on this the crisis intervention, crisis prevention. And since 1960s, 1970s, the scientists, psychologists, professors around the globe, they studied and they did research, and they developed different kind of like the models about this crisis intervention. However, I have just listed few of them. The number one is Gilead, 6-step model of crisis intervention. Second is Robert's 7-stage crisis intervention model. The third one is Guilera model of crisis recovery counseling. The Guilera model is pretty much focused in counseling, crisis counseling. An 8-step of crisis prevention model by Australian government Department of Health. I choose this model as well, the framework prepared by the Australian government Department of Health, in order to to carry out the crisis preventions and crisis prevention techniques. Similarly, Lifeline Australia, it is, as I already told before, it's a 24/7 service which pretty much work in rescuing the people in the crisis. So I choose that one as well. And the other two, 6 and 7s, are newly I construct myself, and they are still in constructing phase. However, it's a kind of summary: CFPC, crisis impact model, and PPA model of crisis intervention and prevention. So let me start the new one without wasting the time. 6 model of crisis intervention developed by jEDU'L. Okay, so what the jEDU'L say? So jEDU'L prepare the 6 model. In that 6 model, define the problem. So what does this define the problem mean? Is it talking about we defined the model, like this model is a kind of model which help this kind of things is academic one, or it is a technique oriented stage? It is very important to understand. So here I'm not going to explain in details about all those steps. There are so many things I already show you in the Facebook, and it takes use time. However, I will give a slight idea if the term is pretty much new and not clear. So defined problem, I would like to make clear about what does that defined problem means. When the clients at risk come to the counselor or come to seek the help, in first stage, counselor or psychologist or any professional, health professional, they need to basically help the client establishing the relation, because people may feel very hard to give their information or to face with the professionals as well. Even they are in the help spot, they may not be able to share or explore their things easily. So the first stage is establishing the relation and exploring their situation, listening to them, how they can explore their problem. The counselor or the professional has to listen very actively, giving the empathy without any judgment. They need to actively listen to the clients, and then illustrate, then find out the issues, find out the problem. Define means it's not the definition. It's about focusing the client to identify what the potential problems are faced by the particular clients who are at the service stage. Okay. Similarly, ensure client safety. This is a very very normal things. The client is in crisis, so professional or even other individual helper or community worker, supporters who always need to think about client safety. So that's very easy to understand. And then provide the support. Provide support means once problems are identified, then next step which goes to providing the support to them. And then once in the crisis situation, the professional will provide the immediate supports what they need. Sometimes they need basic needs. Let's say example, a child or a person is at a vulnerable situation. It's very cold outside and but they are shaking, or it is very a sunny place and they are burning. In those situations, what they need is a basic need. It may not relate to the crisis management, but it exactly relate to the crisis management. They may need the basic needs as well. They may need some other support, emotional supports and services, and they may feel faint, or they may feel physically weak as well, even mentally and physically weak as well. On that situation, these kind of things are come to rescue the client from the crisis situation. if it is not an incident. Okay, if someone is drawing in the water, then that's a different thing. So the rescue team will go and they rescue. Okay, so and then after rescuing, now examining the alternatives. It is not the magic that once the client is rescued, the client cannot recover or like become the normal immediately. As I already told in the beginning, they may need a short-term support and long-term supports. So in terms of long-term supports, then after rescuing, the client should be asked, client should be given the opportunity to to illustrate their suspended skills, core skills to cope with the situations. So that's the examine alternative means this is the focus point here, like focusing on the clients. And if it is a counselor is working there, the stage 4 is very important stage, important role for the counselors. They find the hidden suspended qualities of the clients, and then help them to plan as a with a long-term goal to rescue from this crisis and to prevent the crisis from those kind of crises to come back to their life as well. And making the plan, as I already told before, and obtain the commitment means if I know the professional services are enough services for a client, but if client doesn't cope, client doesn't agree with the professional people's counselor or other like the people or hospital, psychologist, psychiatric, or wherever they go to seek the the help, and they are not coping with them or they don't commit, it will be very difficult to prevent the crisis, because crisis may repeat again. That's why commitment is very important, and it is very important role of the professional to get the commitment of the clients. In order, commitment means like whatever the plan they prepare, goals they prepare, they will be prepared to help this client, and client has to commit to fulfill it, and they need to work together to get into the destination. This is a 6 model of crisis interventions prepared by the jEDU'L. Now let me talk about, in short, let me talk about Robert's 7 stage of crisis intervention model. Okay, Alfred Robert is actually the professor in State Uni of New Jersey in the Department of Criminal and Justice, Faculty of Art and Science. So he prepared this model, and he has developed so many other the publications as well in relation to this counseling, psychology, psychological states, with combining with other researchers as well. So in this one, the seven stages are very popular as well. So let me just, it's very simple to understand. Plan and conduct thorough biopsychosocial and lethality imminent danger assessment. So what happened here is in Robert's 7th stage plan, he directly point out the planning to conduct thorough biopsychosocial and lethality or imminent danger assessment. Means in the client, what is happening, what will happen, is there any danger in future, or is he in the danger, is there any substance, or is any mean lethality, in the danger mean, is there any danger mean, is he using something, or is he sitting or living or happening something in somewhere, or because of some items. Those kind of things has to be identified in the beginning. So it's assessment. They focus on the assessment. And biopsychosocial, social aspect, lethality imminent, like where they live, who are the peer group, or who are the friends, what is happening, what type of events. Events means it's not the celebration like our festival. We are not talking about Easter, Christmas, Dasai, Tihar, or Eid or something. Events means like the clients, where the client was hurt, how client became the vulnerable, unconscious, workless, what was the reason, what happened, the scenario is an event. So those kind of things has to be assessed in the beginning. Then make a psychological contact and rapid establish the relationship. In Jillian's 6, they put these 2 steps together. Here he classified into the 1 and 2, so it became 7. So it's almost similar. So in the last stage, what happened is Jillian's obtain commitment from the clients. However, here is only obtaining commitment is not enough. The professional or counselor, service holder also should follow to the client. What is happening, what is the progress, is working or not working, sort of things. So that's the follow-up. Follow-up is necessary from the side of the professionals. He added the follow-up here, and the Jillian's added at the last point, Jillian's added obtain the commitment from the clients. Actually, follow-up and obtain, in my opinion, obtain the commitment and follow-up, both are very important, and we can use both point in the same point as well. Here identify major problem, and then encourage and exploration of feelings and emotions. We already talk about exploration, and explore the skills, hidden skills, or any things happen, what they think. Are they feeling jealousy? Are they feeling nervous? Are they feeling suicidal thoughts? What they think, what is happening? Those kind of things should be explored, and the client should be encouraged. And then again generate and explore the alternatives. Professional also will identify and prepare different types of techniques to help the client. At the same time, the client also will be given the opportunity to explore their hidden talent, skills, and their interests and needs as well. So they work together. But in crisis, as I already told in the beginning, I think I spoke in Nepali, in crisis situation is somehow directive one, because even though client may not or may not agree with the counselor or agree with the psychologist or the health professional or anyone to adopt the technique in the beginning they provided, but it should be enforced. It should be given to the counsel, make the counsel understand it about the importance of this the preliminary supports which help them to rescue. So they might be directive one. After 5 to 6 4 to 5 stages, the professional will use non-directive methods. They will put lots of methods on the table and ask the client to choose which is applicable in their scenario, because every single person is different, every event is different, every client is different, and their opinion is also different. So there should be a different options, and a client will the professional will help the client to choose the best one they apply in their life. Similarly, restore functioning through the implementation of an action plan. Now I already talked about the action plans and the options, and then that will be implemented according to Robert. That should be implemented in stage 6 in order to restore the function. Means whatever happened in the beginning, they are rescue at the moment. Imagine that they rescue, and then again they have to come. Only rescue is not enough. I already told in the beginning, only rescuing is not enough. They should be supported continually in order to come to the normal situations. This is what the restore functioning, okay, and the follow-up. Now let me talk about another model which is developed by jEDU'L model of crisis recovery counseling. As I told in the beginning, jEDU'L model is completely focusing in the crisis recovery counseling. It's a counseling, how counseling help in recovering the crisis. The client, if client is in the crisis, and how counseling services, how counselor help to recover their crisis situation. It means to recover them means to restoring their functioning in a normal situation. Okay. Now, according to jEDU'L, it is very interesting as well. He has first developed 4 stages. stabilization, management, mobilization, and restoration. From the term, it is very easy to understand. I can just read it. Shield person from the further threat. Stabilization. Once a counselor or a health professionals get the the person in crisis, or even individual person get the anyone in the crisis state, what is the first thing to do? Stop them to happen further. What is happening to them, we have to stop. That's the general responsibility. So shield person from further threat. So only terms are different, but you can see, like I already explained, two models almost similar. So in the beginning, if someone is in crisis, they have to be helped. They have to give some directive options, some basic needs and other supports in order to rescue them from the immediate crisis situation. Okay, so stopping, it means intervening, stopping, and sealing means no further situation the client will go where he or she was. Okay, then management meet their needs, and mobilization assist and encourage the person to take back to the control, and restoration assist person to normalize their functioning. So it's the same thing, similar thing. So let me promise, not to waste much time in the similar things. So the first one I explained, the other things are almost similar. Now, how he developed like resolution focus counseling model in those 4 stages. So according to Guilera, she wants basically those 5 resolution model to apply to all these 4 stages. In each stage, the counselor should look at these 5 options. It may apply, all 5 options may apply or may not apply. However, they will try to match, they will try to implement those 5 stages into each stages. So the resolution focus modeling is a creating conditions, stabilizing the person's the current state, focus problem solving, supporting action to be taken, and monitoring. So monitoring, you see the monitoring, supporting, focusing, stabilizing or establishing the client's current state, or creating the condition, what is happening, the separating the potential the threat, potential issues, the issues which are not recoverable or recoverable. So those kind of things should be considered in each step, in each stage on top. This is what the Guilera model. Now let me talk about which one is this. I think model by Australian. It's a little bit covered here. Maybe it's a government's model. Okay. So this one is the 8th step of crisis intervention, the model prepared by Australian Government Department of Health. So this is like this model I found in Government Health Department website, and that model was basically posted there in 2004. So pretty much from 2004 to now, and there might have lots of revision because I'm not working in the health in the beginning. So I just look at those information now. In later stage, we'll compare whether what is the latest one, or they are also using the same one. So here what it says is, there are basically 4 stages: assessing the client's crisis, identifying the key indicators, and crisis prevention, and organization support and accountabilities. In the 4, little bit in the down here, 4. So the Department of Health focus in the 4 framework. Okay, within this 4 framework, they have lots of stages, lots of steps, lots of processes as well. So in order to make the slide short, I have just bring the 8 steps about crisis prevention. Okay, so assessing the client's crisis, of course, it is very easy to understand. Identifying what is happening, what is the event, what is their perception, what exactly happened to the client, what are the real potential issues, that bring them in the crisis situation, and identifying key indicators. So what are the indicators? If they are, how do we know the indicators? If someone is upset in a long time, there should be some other reasons, being the person's being upset steadily or continually in a long time. There should be some other reasons. So those reasons could be the indicators. Upset is the indicators. Anxiety is the indicators. If someone feels doubt is an indicator, might be indicator. Someone is a fear, might be indicator. So assessing the client situation and also identifying the indicators. Two steps are very important. Similarly, on the third one, prevention. The step forward, there is a crisis prevention steps here. Basically, it's a prevention is in first and second. We can assume the client is like, client is already rescued from the immediate crisis situation. And then how they will be prevented from the crisis to go back again. So on that, there are a couple of steps prepared by the government, which are very important and is directly relevant to the counseling and services as well. Establishing the relationship, encourage to explore the painfulness, finding detail of event, client's perception, focusing client safety, conduct the assessment, provide supports, help to develop action plan and follow up. See, action plans, follow up, provide support. Those things are repeated in all the models I already explained. And assessment, conducting assessment, assessing the client's the crisis and conducting the assessment. In the beginning, identifier is not enough. The client problems and issues should be assessed time to time. When there is a monitoring, there may be different reason, different event may appear in the clients. Okay, the event is not as I told, some kind of festival event. The event means the situation, scenario, what is happening to the client in the beginning, now, and what they might be thinking for the future. So those kind of things come as a part of scenario or events in terms of the clients who are at crisis situation. Similarly, organizational support and accountability is, of course, is a government's framework. So every single the professionals has to support the client in complying with government's the rules, regulations. They should feel accountable as well, and then also the support they give through the organizational support, means the support, the professional supports, the available supports, enough supports, so that client can come in the normal situations in very convenient and comfortable way. So these are the government's just a model. You can see some similarities with the others as well. Yes. Sorry. I think this one is okay. This one I already did it. Now, as I told before, I have brought some information about Lifeline Australia. Lifeline is a national, the emergency rescue service. And anyone can reach it at any time in 13, 11, 14 if they feel in risk. Okay, they may have suicidal thoughts. They may are afraid in sort of the scenarios, how they can rescue. Or they may not know what to do, or they feel they're vulnerable and don't know anything, or unconscious, or they just confused and workplace, in those kind of situation. There are lots of other services, but I just put this Lifeline pretty much focusing in suicide. So this this slide is focusing in the risks of suicide, how someone can be helped, someone who is at risk of suicide can be helped. They follow 10 steps. You can see in different model, different steps. Government has 8 steps, 4 stages, and there are other steps in those 4 stages as well. So other models also have different stages, 7 stages, 6 stages, sort of stages. So here they follow 10 stages. Particularly, in the case of suicidal thoughts, or someone is at risk of suicide. Okay, so it is very simple, but just to make clear, I would like to read it out. Take an immediate action now. So know the crisis, vulnerability, and get ready to handle. Be for them, active listening. Be for them. What does that be for them means? We cannot judge a client. We need to be with them. With them means agreeing what they are saying, using our empathy, skills, so that they feel comfortable to share their opinions, comfortable to share their problems and issues. So intervene with the questions relevant to the scenario. So they put the intervening questions. So I also attended long ago, I think a couple of years ago, I attended one mental health first aid session run by our community friends, but I think they are funded or they were organized by NSW Health from St. George's side. They were colleagues of the health professionals and from St. George's side. And I attended that mental health first aid, and then I knew lots of things there. The one thing I never imagined, like how we can approach the client, asking the question, are you thinking suicide? Thinking to do suicide? Thinking to commit a suicide? So this is pretty much very, very, very important questions. We feel hesitate to ask. And if there is a hesitation in support workers, mental health first aider or any professionals, ask the questions who is in the scenario of the that questions, in order to help the client who is in that risk of suicidal thoughts or life-threatening situation. It is very important to ask the question, direct questions. Are you thinking? Something like that. So I like this presentation because I wanted to bring how this lifeline help in order to they stop suicidal thoughts, in order to rescue the people in the community, the people who are at risk of suicide, how the lifeline helps. So I was actually researching this thing, and I found those 10 steps in the toolkit prepared by this lifeline. So that's the thing. And then decide what action to be taken and how. So decide what action to be taken and how. It means directive one. So here the helper, worker, carer, professionals, health professionals, counselor, they can decide what action to be taken. It's a directive one. Means we don't need to wait to ask to the client, do you do this or don't you do this? Because their life is already in in a threatened situation. They may they may lose their life. So we cannot wait for them asking, okay, can you do it or cannot do it? So if necessary actions are required, they should be enforced to them. So decide what action to be taken. Okay, and then while implementing those techniques, of course, the counselor will also think about client's safety all the time and take action. Acts again, like promise means, see, in the beginning we were talking about obtain the commitment. Ask client for promise is the same thing, obtain the commitment, because if client doesn't cope or doesn't listen or doesn't follow the guidance or the the options given by the counselor or the worker or professionals, health worker and professionals, it will not work. So it is very important step, asking the clients the promise as well. So it will not work directly, it is very hard to get the promise from the client. They may change the things, and again the counselor has to use different change stage format or other the counseling therapies and techniques as well. So it is basically one of the requirements you understand, and it will be saying this means people also know, oh yes, if somebody is somebody is suffering from those kind of situations, and just keeping quiet and staying away will not help, and they also need to seek a help, number one. Number two, once they are with someone else who can help them, then they also need to, the client also need to commit to to bring the changes in their life together with the professionals one and supporters one. Then look after yourself. Of course, in the suicidal thoughts, the situation might be vulnerable, and the carer or professionals also may feel some sort of stress, or may feel some vulnerable sometime, because when they deal with the loss of things, and they may feel that kind of situation, they may scare, or they may lose their confidence. So that's why it is very important to look after themselves. Or yourself means like the professionals also, they need to look after themselves and stay involved in clients for continuous support. So you can see now promise and continuous support here. Promise in number 8 and continuous support number 10. So as I told in the beginning, in the counseling and any support services, if the client need long-term support, okay, in the long-term support, let's say example, not magically we go to the the health center or medical center and buy the medicine, or see the doctor and just keep quiet, because the client who need continuous support, the professionals will also do the continuous support. At the same time, client has to agree, client has to promise, to cope with the practices, options given by the the professionals, so that mutually they work mutually. If they mutually work, and then it will be very easy and very fast to get the client the out from the that kind of scenario, that kind of crisis scenario, and they will be recovered very soon. They may come to the normal situation, a functional situation, very soon, if they cope with the professionals. So you understand now. Looks simple, but it is very important.